you done now?
On you to Mr. Body. You made one fatal mistake. Sitting here at dinner, Mrs. Peacock told us that she was eating one of her favorite recipes. And monkey's brains, though popular in Cantonese cuisine, are not often to be found in Washington, D.C. Colonel Mustard, when we saw the motorist at the front door, you took the key to the weapons cupboard out of my pocket. Then you suggested that we all split up. You separated from Miss Scarlett, crossed the hall, opened the cupboard, took the wrench, ran to the conservatory, entered the lounge through the secret passage, killed the motorist with a blow on the head. Like that!
This is incredible!
Not so incredible as what happened next. After we all split up again, I went upstairs with you. Yes, you, Mrs. White. And while I was in the master bedroom, you hurried downstairs and turned off the electricity, got the rope from the open cupboard, and throttled Yvette. You were jealous that your husband was stopping Yvette.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Clue Movie Podcast, where we break down the 1985 cult classic movie Clue 1 minute at a time. My name is the Vote Brad Gilmore, joined as always by the General Jeff Smith. We're at minute 90 of Clue the movie.
90!
Which means we are just a few episodes away from the closure of this show.
Oh my goodness. You know what that means? It's an hour and a half. I did the math. I know math is usually not our strong suit, but we are now at an hour and a half. We're at that perfect spot.
Yes, 90 full minutes. And we're now getting explanations of a couple more murders. The finishing of Mrs. Peacock into Colonel Mustard. And then right at the
Colonel Mustard.
Mrs. White.
It's true. See, as we're watching this inning, so this is ending 3, and it is a favorite of a lot of people because, like we mentioned last time, you get to see all the gameplay. Every game piece player. Hey, we're back. There's your callback. Every game piece character gets to have their moment, but I also like this ending, and I know we talked about in the past how you're not, or maybe you weren't, maybe now watching it, you'll change your mind, crazy about the flashbacks. But I really like that there are more flashbacks in this one because it's kind of fun to see we saw the murders happen, like you see a close-up of the pipe or the wrench or like the gloves when the key is being taken out, or you wonder when the key was taken out of Wadsworth's pocket. And now it's like the camera pulled back and we get to see exactly who did it. So in the way that they do that with the Glass Onion and the Knives Out movies, I like that too, where if the camera had just pulled back when you were watching it the first time, you'd see exactly who it is. It makes sense for Colonel Mustard to be wearing gloves. I get that. I don't know where he got them, and I don't know what he did with them. I don't know why he thought to bring them, but he did. But I do like seeing him do his thing and then seeing Mrs. White sneaking around and strangling Yvette. It's what I think is missing in the Mrs. Peacock ending, because that one goes by so quick. Because even in this one, they do the monkey's brains joke again, but they actually go into the dining room for him to say it. And in the Peacock ending, he just kind of says it in the hall. But we do not get Mr. Green's disgusted reaction to the monkey's brains. We cut, so there is no reaction.
Yeah, I have several things on this minute. First off,
we're moving in this one. We don't have time. We don't have time for that. We got to keep going. Everybody takes a turn. This is the long end.
First off, I want to start with what you were just saying regarding the flashbacks. I did not, if people remember, I was not a particular fan of the flashbacks and the Scarlet ending for whatever reason. I don't know. I felt like it kind of interrupted my flow of figuring out the ending. I could not have made more of a 180 on this because the flashbacks here, I think if they didn't have them, it would have been a detriment to the film. Because if you're just hearing the explanation of Wadsworth with all these people and all these moving parts going all over the place, there's no way you're really getting the full...
Too much.
Yeah, exactly. You're not getting the full breadth of the explanation, but having the visual with it, picture book-esque, we're able to hear and see what's going on. And I think that was done very well. So I'm glad that they did it for this ending. I have a question from a filmmaker standpoint. In other endings for Wadsworth, we see him start it, and then everyone's running with him to the next place to where he gets to the explanation. In this ending, it goes from, I'm explaining to you in the hall, and then boom, we appear in the dining room, and I'm picking up my sentence right where I left off in the dining room.
Yeah.
Whereas before, he was like, and then it happened in the study. Ba 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 ba. Okay,
Right.
and then this is why it happened. Da, 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 And in this one, it's literally like, it goes from telling Miss Peacock something, your fatal flaw, and then we're in the dining room, the cook, the monkey brains, and then we're here, boom, in the next spot.
Then we're back at the front door, like before anybody reacts. It's just boom, boom, boom. I would say there's two reasons. One, because this is a longer ending, so we don't have time for that nonsense. I think that's probably the reason. If you were just watching this movie with that being the only ending, like in the theaters, I think it also works when this is the third ending that you're watching because we already seen them run around and we know the geography. We don't need it now. So I think for that it works. I just really think because there's so much to this one, and also some of it doesn't make 100% sense, which I think is good with the flashbacks as well. We've talked about before how when Yvette runs down the stairs, you can hear Mrs. White upstairs screaming at the darkness, and I think the Jack in the Box that pops up for no reason. And then Yvette's running downstairs. We know Mrs. White is still up there, but apparently she's also in the billiard room waiting to strangle her. If you show it in the flashback, it's easier to go, oh, I guess it did happen because I just saw it. And I totally agree with you that if he was just talking, you would be totally confused. And I guess with Mrs. Peacock's ending, since it's all her, it's not. It's just she did it. You don't need to see it.
Yeah.
She did it. And in this one, it's again. But I think it's also good because it is that moment where everyone kind of gets to have their time in the sun. But yeah, you're right. It is definitely the choppier of the endings. Like we don't have time to run around anymore. We're going right to the front door.
Going straight for it.
Although we do have a wonderful moment where Wadsworth does take the time to lead Mrs. White at least halfway up the stairs. She doesn't make it all the way. She does drop as he's going. So he still does have a moment where he gets to lead people around, and just her.
Well, and that was my next thing I wanted to ask you about. Is that because, okay, some of the physical comedy, it takes place within the narrative of the story, and it makes a little bit more sense. Like whether it's Mr. Green getting knocked down by Wadsworth during the explanation, or someone's opening a door, whatever the sight gag is, right? It kind of makes sense within the flow of that scene. This one, although it got a laugh from the both of us, I didn't understand really like what the setup before was, or like what the joke, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of happened out of nowhere. And I loved it. And I'm wondering, is that something that you script, like way in the script, or is that something on the set? I mean, I could try to find it if it's in the original script. That would be helpful.
It feels pretty organic to me, and I think it's great. It kind of goes along with it's hard to keep up with Wadsworth, and he doesn't even care at this point. So he's leading her to help illustrate a story, but if you can't keep up, then there you go.
Yeah, I don't know where my original draft has gone.
But it'll be interesting to see. He goes all the way up the stairs, and he does that whole thing on the banister where he says, "Well, I was in the master bedroom," and then she's halfway up the stairs. And I think in the next shot, in the next minute, we see he's downstairs now. Actually, in this minute, he's downstairs. Like somehow he went back downstairs and must have passed her on the stairs. So then he could look up and say, "You were jealous of Yvette." And because she has to come down the stairs to say her iconic line that you will hear in the next minute.
That we're going to be hearing. But I'm with you. I feel like it's a organic moment. And I'm about to try to find it here in said script.
Okay.
Very long script, as one might assume because of the multiple endings.
It's one of those long scripts. Yeah. I would be very surprised if that is scripted, but I've been surprised before. I was surprised that there was a mannequin in this draft just sitting outside pretending to be a security guard. Remember that one, listeners?
Right. I'm trying to find it. It's hard because remember these endings in the script are actually like all turned around. So I'm
Oh,
having
yeah,
I'm
they're
having
not in the right
trouble
order.
finding. See, I'm trying to find you. This is when he kills Peacock. Let's see, you've completed watching version A, and then there's B and C. You're a bit late for that. Which one is this one? Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm looking in real time to see if I
Look
can
for
figure this out.
Professor Plum.
So it must have been Mr.
I should
Green
be
who
vamping
shot the
everybody.
singing telegram girl. No, I don't know.
That's
Can't.
it.
Is this
That's
it?
the one.
Is this
Mhm.
it? Let's
Yeah.
see. Wadsworth, Mrs. White.
You're not going to find flames because that
No.
was improv.
Let's see. Where is it? Okay,
But
Mrs. White. I
is
think
who
Colonel
killed the
Mustard
vets.
killed her.
You were jealous.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing anything that
Okay.
says.
That doesn't surprise me. I
Yeah.
think that could have been a rehearsal thing. That could have been something when they get to the set where they start to like run up the stairs. And I mean, Madeline Kahn was very funny and very quirky, and I could see her maybe even doing that on accident, or just saying, "I just don't want to go up the stairs anymore," and it works. I think it's a very funny visual, and it's one of those because it seems so organic that when you watch this movie over and over again, that's what you always will kind of smile at flames on the side of my face, but when you know it's coming, it's like, okay, yeah, it's good stuff. When I've seen Clue in the theater the last couple of years with Cluvians, they kind of they chuckle because they know that's the famous line, but they usually are laughing at things like that. They're usually laughing at Colonel Mustard getting stuck with Miss Scarlet, or just watching Mrs. White do like her weird facial expressions in the background, and her like not making it up the stairs, which is easy to miss the first time you're watching it because so much is going on. You're really watching Tim Curry as he runs up the stairs. So I think that's probably why that's a wonderful, probably improvised or just not scripted moment. I wouldn't think to write that in a script. He's leading up the stairs and she just
Falls.
melts.
It's like, what's
Yeah,
the reason?
she doesn't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously Flames.
That's hilarious.
Flames is not in this one, and I don't want to read this ending until we get to the end of the ending, so we can really see how different it is. I got to, the ending's got to end.
Yeah.
Before I can begin the reading of the ending.
The ending's got to, folks. The ending has got to end.
You know what I mean? So it's what has to happen first. But it is funny. There is one line, screen direction that I will read here. As far as Wadsworth in this explanation, because it just popped me. Wadsworth has acted out the whole speech from above at virtually the speed of sound, if not the speed of light. Only the actions are intelligible.
Oh, man.
Only a few of the words can be understood, names and weapon mainly. They gaze at him dumbfounded. That's the direction.
So even the script was like, it's impossible to do it this fast. And Tim Curry said, "Hold my beer," because you do understand every word he says. It's crystal clear. So even the script Jonathan Lind is writing going, I know this is impossible for a human to do. So we'll just at least maybe hear the name of the character and the weapon and just it'll be all visual. And nope, Tim Curry for the win comes in and stuns the world.
What I love about it is it says virtually at the speed of sound, if not light. And I'm wondering if I'm the actor reading for Wadsworth, okay, and I'm Tim Curry and I'm reading the script and I'm going, oh man, I got a lot here in the ending here. Okay, what does this say? I need to read it at the speed of sound. Oof. If not light.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you
I
just
need to
crumble
defy
as an actor.
physics. I'd put it away.
Like, yeah, we're not going to do
I
that.
couldn't do it. But you know what? When I interviewed Leslie Ann Warren for the Clue documentary, she said herself she couldn't do what he did, and she's a theater actress who is used to like having all like a whole show memorized, and which to me even that's too tall of an order. I can't imagine having a whole play, like a 3-hour play, and songs memorized to do over and over again. I guess it's possible. People do it all the time, but I could do it.
I think with more reps, it's probably better. But like with Clue, you have a shorter window. Because didn't we try to do the math? Wasn't it? Didn't
Yeah,
they shoot it very quickly?
they did, and yeah, that's true. With movies, you memorize your lines, you do your scene, and then now you have to take it out of your brain and throw it away. And that's why when people meet actors on the street or at conventions or whatever, they say, "Oh, you know what my favorite line is? It's this," and the actor goes, "I do not know what you're talking about," because one, they said it probably 10 years ago, and two, they dropped it out of their brain immediately, and three, they usually don't watch their movies over and over again. I'm sure some people do, like DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Well, how could you not want to rewatch that movie though? You know.
Oh well, that one. I mean his character when he watches with Brad
Oh,
Pitt
where he
as well as,
watches him FBI. It's
yeah,
so
yeah,
funny.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
tangent alert, and then I promise I'll tie it back into Clue. Just give me 2 minutes on Once Upon a
Kinsey
Time.
will be happy.
Let me do one more time on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. When they're watching him, hey, I did FBI. You want to watch it? And they're watching his episode of FBI. There's a moment there where Brad Pitt and Leo are watching, and Leo does like a little jump out of the car, right, out of the back of a truck or over a car or something like that. And Brad Pitt just goes, "It's a good leap." That's all he says. It's a good leap. And what's so funny to me about that is that that's what we in wrestling. If we're watching somebody's match back, that's how we talk to one another. Like, oh man, hell, that was a hell of a punch.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a punch. It's just like this small talk. It's like, oh, great leap.
Good leap.
Oh, that was good stuff, man.
Uh-huh.
Good stuff. So I love that moment.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to tie back to Clue here. Question. Each actor reads the script, right? Now, let's go back into Once Upon a Time in Clue history. In Cluewood. Who of I'm talking all actors, male or female, when reading the script, said to themselves, if Tim Curry falls out, I can do that. Which one of these actors do you see being able to pull off his... Because we know, like, Miss Scarlet was going to be Miss White, and she probably would have been a great Mrs. White.
Right. True.
Who could have taken the role of Wadsworth had he dropped out, Carrie Fisher style?
Michael McKean is the only one I could think of that could come close. I don't see Christopher Lloyd. He would have like the more manic version of that,
over the top,
running around. So I guess that's possible.
21
Michael
gigawatts.
Yeah. You ran into the master bedroom. Michael McKean would have something at least closer to what Tim Curry did. He could have the English accent, we know. And Martin Mull, I don't know, maybe. Eileen Brennan. It's hard. I haven't seen Eileen Brennan in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I always just picture her in peacock mode. So I'm sure if I saw more where she's talking like a human, it's possible.
Right.
And then Madeline Kahn is great, but she's great in more of her ditzy parts. I guess if she did the transformation, like if she kind of did the ditzy airhead kind of thing and then suddenly transformed, I guess you could do it. I guess any one of them could do it. It'd just be so different. And Tim Curry as Wadsworth is just one of those parts that it is difficult to picture anybody else doing it. And if anyone else did it, it would be a completely different performance, which it doesn't mean it would be bad. It would just be, it wouldn't be what we have.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, who.
And it probably would be jumbled. It would be past the speed of light, but it would be plum.
Yeah.
It would be subtitled.
It'd be interesting to see, just if we could, AI somebody, another actor.
Well, we've seen you've seen Clue on stage. I've seen Clue on stage, and the actors that we've seen are good. But it's never the speed. It's never the energy. It's fine. It's good. And if the problem is when you know the movie like we do, and most of the listeners know, it is hard to see Clue on stage and not compare to everybody in the movie. In the same way, I'm probably sure when you saw Back to the Future, the musical, you're like, oh, these guys are good.
Yeah,
It's not 100%. Like
it's
you
not
can't, you
right
just
on.
you can't help it.
No, yeah, yeah. It could
It's
never be.
even like after, yeah, it's even after like when Jim Henson passed away and they got new voices for the Muppets. It looks the same, but they don't sound right. That's not what
It's got
Kermit
a
sounds like.
similar feeling, but it's not. It's not. It's just not
Right.
100%
It'll
there.
never be what you know, especially when it's something that you've watched a million times.
Yeah, yeah. It's difficult to pull off. It's difficult to pull off for all those actors because it's just so hard to rip it from your head, like that performance. You know, when you see,
Yeah.
like you said, on the stage plays. You know, although the gentleman who played Wadsworth in mine did a very good job, like a very solid job.
Yeah.
It wasn't Tim Curry, you know.
Right. And that's tough. You got to know when you take that part. It's like, I mean, to a much lesser degree, but like when the new James Bond shows up, you're like, okay,
No,
you are going to be compared for the rest of your life to all these people. Same thing with superheroes. Same thing with anything
like a
that's iconic.
Batman or
When
a
you come in and go,
Superman.
I'll do it, or do a reboot and of anything. Like Vince Vaughn, I'm sure probably has regrets of doing the Psycho remake because he was not the Norman Bates we all know and love.
No, no, and I just feel that you know, taking on those roles like, oh, well, I'm gonna do a different take. You know, I'm gonna take this character in a different direction. 9 times out of 10 doesn't
Yeah.
work. In the small times that it does, like for instance, if you want to think of like a role like the Joker,
Mm,
Jack Nicholson, great job. You know, Heath
right.
Ledger, excellent job. Joaquin Phoenix, incredible job. And they're all playing the same
Jared.
character. Leto, you know, not my favorite. You know,
Right.
Mark Hamill, great job.
Mm,
Cesar Romero,
right.
great job.
It can be done. It can be done.
Did you like the Leto Joker?
But is it either he's barely in the movie, so
Right.
he didn't do much for me. That movie was I didn't like anything in that movie. I mean, Margot Robbie was good, but that was pretty much it. It was a weird montage movie. It was a long trailer.
Well, you know,
It was weird, but I liked the sequel. The
Da-
sequel was good.
David Ayer, the director, obviously has a story about that. A whole different movie is what he shot. And
Yeah,
they wanted to color it
that's
up, and
what people should see.
they wanted to make it all colorful
Yeah.
and montagey.
Well, did they have the company that made the trailer? They had them re-edit the movie,
I
and
believe
that's
so.
why it feels like one big trailer. The opening scene where just is a montage of songs you've heard in a million movies with titles like explaining their stats. I think there are movies that can do that, but this one it just felt like it was trying to be cool. And there's nothing worse. Like there's cool, like Tarantino. I remember when I saw Pulp Fiction in the theater, and just when Mr. Lou on the opening credits switches to Jungle Boogie
Mm.
on the radio, I thought this is the coolest movie I've ever seen. And it was 5 minutes in. So it can be done, the cool feeling. But when you're fake cool, faux show, not faux me.
Not good. No bueno. No bueno.
No, no.
Um, but yeah. So
But do you think going back to people, the actors that do those remakes, do you think it's ego that makes them say I could do it? Is it brave,
I think it's
or is
brave.
it paycheck,
I think
or
it's all
is
three.
it
It's all three.
okay?
Like you got to have a
Yeah,
bit of an ego to be like,
yeah,
okay, I can pull this off. You got to be a little
I could do
intimidated
it.
by it,
People, I'm good enough.
and
Yeah,
then you got to be like, but is it worth it? You know, like
right.
I'm really interested. If I could hear like one, I mean, there's probably 1,000. If I could hear a recent conversation of talking an actor into a movie, I would like to hear the Joaquin Phoenix chat when they're like, we want to do a Joker sequel, and just hear like what his
Right.
reaction to it. Because I
It's
believe I
just the
read
Joker story.
somewhere that there's never been I don't know if this is correct, but there's never been a sequel for a character who won an actor best actor. Is that true? That can't be true, right?
A sequel for an actor that won best. You mean like Heath Ledger's
No, like
Oscar?
no,
There
no,
hasn't
like
been.
for instance, say Jeff Smith won Best Actor for playing Jeffrey Smith, right? And then normally you don't
Brad
see
Gilmore
you don't
played
see
Jeffrey
Jeff Smith play Jeffrey ever again. Like it's a one-off actor performance, Best
I see.
Actor.
Oh, to make I see.
You see what I'm saying?
That I get it. I don't think that is probably not true. Did well, Brando wasn't in The Godfather 2, so he didn't
No.
do it again. But Jack Palance won for Curly in City Slickers, and
But he
he
didn't
played
win.
the twin brother.
Oh. So he's not playing the same role.
That's weird. That's true. Technically, it's not the same role. It's still Jack Palance with the cat. But that's weird that my go-to on coming up with like these best actor roles are like, hey, City Slickers. I don't know why. I think it's all the cowboy motif in the background of your
It's gotta be.
image. It brought me to the Old West. Yeah, that's got to be brave. It's the same way when they decided we're going to make Psycho 2. Going back to Psycho, that's weird. Like, hey, write Psycho 2. Oh my gosh, how do you do that? And Psycho 2 is good, so they did it, but they could have not.
Yeah,
Look
it's
at Son of the Mask. Look at Ace Ventura Jr. Look at anything where like let's try. I mean, I don't know why I went double Jim Carrey also, but like if someone said, "Hey, Brad Gilmore, we're gonna do the Clue reboot. You can write it. You do a Clue podcast." Ooh, that's a lot.
It's a lot to take on. You know what I mean? It's a lot to take on.
Yeah, it's like hosting the Oscars. There's too much like it could go way wrong easier than it can go right.
Yeah, it's like what's the risk reward ratio of that? You know?
Yeah. Is it worth it?
So
the small chance that you're going to knock it out of the park. If you do, then you're a hero.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if it could be done, I mean, going back to the Joker, doing a whole movie just about the Joker could have been
not good.
Weird.
Yeah,
it's a good idea though. And now there's the Penguin. Now there's a Penguin TV show.
Now that I want to see.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing to talk about Clue. Which one of these singular characters, if you want to see them in a HBO miniseries, the character is?
Scarlet.
Yeah. Pretty easy one, isn't it? That's kind of a layup.
Yeah, Scarlet for sure. And I think your Gaelic Shrug idea helped with that because I think both Scarlet and Yvette would have to be in it. And it wouldn't bother me to have those parts recast. As good as Leslie Ann Warren is a Scarlet, and even Colleen Camp is Yvette, they're not enough. I wouldn't, if it's a prequel, which is what I would expect, they'd have to be somebody else. And I think there are a lot of modern day actresses that could have a lot of fun with both those parts. So there's your freebie, Hollywood. Go off and make your Miss Scarlet. But we've talked about that in the past too, where like the only way to do like a Clue series would be like a cool way to do a Clue series was every episode is the prequel of every character. And then the last episode is they go to the house.
I still think we should do it. We should make it.
It would be like Lost. It'd be like Lost, or maybe it starts where they end up at the house and then like goes close up on Scarlett's face, and then there she is. And then there'll always be like and then there'll be one episode where it's like, oh, it's the Kims. They're not my favorite, but okay, we'll watch them for an hour. They're fine. They weren't my favorite. I hate Lost, by the way. I hate Lost.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Hate it. Oh, well. I wouldn't. Don't. If you ever decide to watch it, don't get excited. It'll let you down.
It'll let you down. What we try not to do here for you.
Not like Clue the Movie Podcast.
Not like this show, but
we're about to head to the end. Oh, but here we are. We're about to go to the final episode. Will we let you down? Will we have been in purgatory this entire time? Who knows?
We're going to bring the whole cast of characters back. They're going to talk to us in a trial setting. It's the trial of Jeff and Brad.
Oh, well, then we'll do the Seinfeld/Curb finale. We'll bring everybody back.
Everybody comes back. But that is the General Jeff Smith.
All right, we're here to talk about your tangents.
I am the Boat Brad Gilmore. This is
Yeah, he
Minute
is.
90
He's on a boat.
of Clue the Movie podcast. And we will see you all.
Flames. Come back for flames.
Flames on the side of our faces for Minute 91.